FMP Podcast, FMP Podcast. Shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan. We have another great show lined up for you guys. This is episode 16, and we have the great Raevin Bryant, y'all. Stay tuned. So. Shout out to everybody once again. I appreciate all the love and the support. Shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan. We are back here, episode 16 of the FMP podcast. That's Foundational Manhood Podcast. And we have a great episode today lined up. Great chop up. Beautiful young lady. She's here to express to us, brothers, how she feels about the current state of black men, what's going on with us, what we're talking about, what we're promoting. And she's here. We're gonna have a great session with you guys. Make sure you guys definitely like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And make sure y'all show her some support, man. So shout out to you, Miss Raevin. Good to see you. So introduce yourself.
Hi. Well, my name is Raevin. I'm so excited to be here with DS1. Yeah. I am a certified yoga teacher, RYT 500. I'm a wilderness field instructor. I have a lot of different hats that I wear, but yeah, so just here to just talk to you guys a little bit, I guess.
Awesome. So being a yoga instructor, yoga is something that I'm finding as I get older to be very useful, very healing. A lot of us guys, especially black men, we grow up in rough environments. So when the hell do we ever think about a yoga mat?
Yeah.
Or even think about exercising in that way. So give us some benefits of just getting into yoga as a man.
Okay. Well, to dive into a little bit of history. So yoga has been around for thousands of years, hundreds of years. It was around the Vedic period that the fundamentals of yoga started to immerse. And during that time, yoga used to only just be pranayama. So that is the control of your breathing, breath retention, and meditation. That's what yoga was prior to adding asanas, or poses is what they're called. Um, Poses came into play a little bit further down the line. And so anybody can do yoga. I tell all of my beginning students, they usually come with a lot of frustration because they're not able to go into a full sun salutation. A lot of them are very tight in just even walking. I can tell that their flexibility just isn't quite there. And they get very frustrated with themselves. And I let them know that, hey, like, yoga is really about your breathing. Once you can get control of your breathing and everything else, don't worry about the flexibility. That stuff will come later. But I really want them to master the benefits of what yoga really is for. It's not just for exercise or flexibility or increasing blood flow. And it does all those things over time, but it's really about creating space within the mind, creating space within the body. And Black men honestly can benefit so much from just doing a meditation. And meditation can be very hard. When I first started out, I struggled a lot with being able to sit and meditate for 5 minutes. Now I can do it over an hour and not move. But that kind of thing, it takes a lot of work, and you have to be able to close out a lot of the external parts of your mind. And that kind of stuff takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to do. But for Black men, I really think you guys could benefit the most, honestly, from having those moments where you can sit and meditate and really focus on your breathing, because that's really where a lot of healing takes place, is within your breath. So, yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. And I'm glad you said that too, because black men, we suffer with a lot of mental health issues. And a lot of our mental health issues really just come from us never being able to get a break,
Mhm.
like sit down and process everything that we actually go through. We don't get that chance. So what you just explaining the benefits of yoga, that will give us that space, that time to deal with the shit, instead of just finding ways to ignore it, finding ways to put it off, put it over here, put it over there. It's a way for black men to start being present with themselves, is what I
Mhm.
gather what you're saying. And that's very, very important for
Yeah.
us as black men today, because we show up for everybody but ourselves.
Right. And I also am a strong advocate of most of my sessions are private. So it's very one-on-one with my students, and I do some group classes, but not as much, especially since like COVID happened.
Mhm.
Um but I will say that for Black men specifically, I think it would benefit the most that they had a class specifically for them, in whichever forms of yoga that it can be. So you can do your vinyasas, you can do your yin, your restoratives, your kundalini, all those different forms of yoga. But I think it would be really great to have it just be for Black men. Um, Not saying that women aren't, I don't want to get bashed by the sisters, but I do believe that our men need to have their own like spaces so that they can have healing and have it where it's not interrupted by an overwhelming amount of feminine energy. And so I'm a strong advocate for Black men having like their own set of private yoga type environments. I think that's a good idea.
So you think it'll be much more beneficial for us to have our own classes instead of us like merging with women.
I do, only because I mean, I have to be honest here. Women kind of they tend to dominate those healing spaces, the spaces that you would think are linked to healing and wellness and stuff like that. We do tend to dominate those spaces a lot, and it's not really a carved out section for men. And I don't think that's really fair. You all should be able to reap the benefits of things like yoga, and it be something that you guys can just have for yourselves. So, yeah.
And let's not forget, those yoga pants are extremely distracting. So a lot of brothers is not going to be able to calm down to meditate with all them yoga pants running around. You know,
That that is true.
I done made them yoga pants a style now.
Yeah, the yoga pants or something.
Hmm.
You don't see a lot of us yoga teachers or students wearing harem pants, which are those genie looking pants, which is actually what yoga has been commonly practiced in long before leggings came along. But you don't really see those no more.
Also, y'all just named them yoga pants. They're really leggings.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you wear 'em everywhere else. That's what they consider those active, pants are leggings, yeah.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it, fellas. Those are not yoga pants. Those are leggings. She's a yoga instructor.
They're
She
they're
knows.
for they're for active lifestyle.
Right. Yeah. Uh-huh. So, but no, that's I definitely agree with that, you know, because as men, something that get out my face. Um, I'm learning from you, but um um something that a lot of us men are not used to doing is actually sitting with those feelings, sitting with that energy and dispelling it totally. Like what we do is we find ways to mask it, and we find coping mechanisms. And I think that yoga can begin to help us get rid of some of these coping mechanisms.
Yeah, it really can, and it is such a healing process, and you learn to be very patient with yourself, and in doing so, you learn to have more grace for other humans and other beings. And and by no means does this stuff happen overnight, guys. It can take a long time. And but the journey of it is phenomenal when you get to different points of the success of it. Um is undeniably beautiful. And so but you're absolutely right about not sitting with your traumas, not sitting with your emotions, really not having that self realization. And it can be extremely like detrimental to like not only your psyche, but just your entire body. Those we talk about the 10 bodies in yoga. There's so many different bodies within our external body. But when you don't deal with those things, and I think I remember I was telling you about it, in 2017, I spent almost the entire year living in the woods. And it wasn't because I chose homelessness or anything like that. It was really because I, for one, was a wilderness field instructor, and I worked with quote unquote at risk children. But during that time, it was it was such a beautiful journey because I was completely disconnected from my phone. I was disconnected from electricity. It was a very primitive life that I was living, and it really helped force me to understand certain things about myself that I hadn't been paying attention to. Because I just thought, oh, well, I'm just going to keep on going and I'll be fine. And, it'll overcome itself. And I don't need to attend to those needs of of myself. So it's important to sit and really confront those things because those things are causing a lot of hindrance and grief in your life. It can only continue to grow. And what I mean is those things start to develop on a cellular level, and then they can progress into a disease state. And all these things can develop from your emotions. Um, Agni, Agni, is a Sanskrit word that really means digestive fire. And it's all here within the intestines. Um, if you notice that when you get upset, there's a lot of heat that starts to build, and you can actually physically feel it down here. And that is your agni that is coming out of balance. And those things can lead to a lot of disease. You can get ulcers, you can get Cancers can form if those things are unchecked and they're prolonged. Um, Hypertension or high blood pressure, all kinds of things can start to happen. And it hits every organ: the brain, the liver, your spleen, pancreas, everything. So it's really vital that our men really start to pay attention to how they're feeling, recognizing what they're feeling. If you're around somebody that is going to just constantly try to shut down your what you are feeling, then those are people that you don't want to have around you. You don't, because they're essentially capping over what you're experiencing, and that's not really good, because it's almost like uh trying to close a volcano that's erupted. That erupting volcano, it needs to come out. Obviously, there's pressure, there's heat, there's all this stuff that has to come out. And just holding a cap over it is hurting the earth. So that's a good way to put it, I think.
Awesome. Awesome. I've never heard it presented in that way. Um, so definitely I'm loving the conversation. As far as manhood is concerned, I wanted to ask you a question because you're into the health. You're into health and the sciences and spiritual arts. Um, do you think men need a rites of passage nowadays? And do you think that, being that there hasn't been one for so long, how has it affected us?
A rites of passage, as in like a coming into manhood type of thing.
Yes.
Yes.
For example, like with the Jews, when you're 13 and you're a boy, you have a bar mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
And at this bar mitzvah, it's not just a party, it's a celebration of you becoming a man. So there's certain things that you had to already do. Like in Africa, one of the rites of passage was they used to take young boys into the jungles at night, and he had to make it through with the elders. He had to walk through the jungle at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means he had to face his fears. He had to face himself. And it seems like that's missing nowadays. So do you think that we need that again?
Yes. In abundancy. I do. And oh man, we'll be on here out for hours if I was trying to really like break down all of that stuff. But it is extremely necessary. And it's iron sharpens iron. And our young boys need male role models. They need those mentors. If the biological father, for some other reason, has maybe transitioned to, being with the ancestors, or some other thing has happened, um, our boys need it, and they need to have that rite of passage. And I do think that that's a script that only men need to write. I don't think any woman needs to be a part of it. Because we'll be coming at it from a whole nother angle, and our emotional get into it and all of that. Because you talking about taking somebody's precious baby boy on some type of camping trip out in the middle of nowhere for a month, where he ain't going to talk to her. She's going to be like, you're not taking my baby anywhere, basically. um, so yes, I do think that it is needed. And I hope to see more of those things happening in our community. Um, because our community, if our men are not solid, then our community will continue to die. And women have a role, a huge part in the failure of our community. We just have to be honest about it. And but our men, I mean, honestly, you guys are what happens when it's conception. You know, a woman, our egg is there, but it's there and it's just potential energy basically, and it doesn't come forth until a man's semen, well, sperm travels and goes in there, and then the spark of life happens. So we need you guys. If not, we're not going to exist.
Basically, basically, men are gonna have to step up and be the men that we once were, because women are designed to nest. Women
Mhm.
are designed to survive. So women are always going to survive, no matter what rulership they're under. That's just
Mhm.
how women are built. They're built to survive. I'm going to make sure I survive and my children survives. So if I got to change my environment and turn into a whole new creature, that is what women are. Men oppose environment.
Right.
So the
Mhm.
shit that's wrong in society that's going on with black men, that is the stuff we need to be trying to fix. Because if our women are nesters and they're nesting in the environment, they're nesting in a broken environment that we're not trying to fix.
Mhm.
So we have to understand, fellas, that us getting a or having a rites of passage, what it does is it gives our young black boys a direction in life. It gives them a purpose outside of getting a bag. See, he gonna take his bag and do something with it, and not go to Punta Cana and give it to Consuela, who cleans up Wyndham Inn bathrooms and shit. He's not gonna do that. He's gonna take his resources and he's gonna build with his people, because he understands that that is what the men that he come from do. See, we have to reestablish that as men. Now, what we need from the women, women like you, Raven, is we need your healing assistance. We need you to, even if we may have a guy who's an instructor, maybe you can teach the guys how to teach us yoga. We
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, black men and black women has always worked together. That's how we established civilization.
Mhm.
It was never no, hey guys, you're just over there, and no, that's that's not how black folks operate.
Mhm.
So we definitely need to show our young men too the collaboration between black men and black women. They need to
Yeah.
see that from young, not just in the house, but outside of the house.
Right.
So when they go into yoga class, it's, yeah, my yoga instructor is Mr. Such and such, but Miss Such and such be there. That's her yoga
Mhm.
school.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? So it takes away from it. It basically removes this level of resentment that men have for women now.
We have we have so much mistrust in our community to the point where it is literally suffocated it. There's mistrust, women to the men and men to the women, and we really got to get past that stuff. And one way I think that it will be achieved is that and a lot of people probably won't like this what I'm gonna say, but you gotta get people out of your life that are causing you harm. And harm does not necessarily mean something physical, because you do need to get rid of that too. But if they are causing you spiritual and mental anguishes consistently all the time. And this isn't just a somebody just had a bad day and they're just moody or something like that. This is something that people are just intentionally doing things that are really disrupting your peace of mind. You got to get rid of those people. They do not belong in your life if you're trying to cultivate and maintain peace that's there. Um, and that's going to be a hard thing, I think, for a lot of us to do. Letting go of people that may have been there for a really long time and, not and seeing them as they're just a part of who I am. You're going to have to get to the point where you create distance, kind of like loving from a distance type of thing, if you have to. Um, because those kind of people will rob us, and it creates a lot of resentment. It creates a lot of mistrust, and you're gonna go through your whole life being that way towards the other people that's in your community, and you can't really get anywhere like with that. Like it it just doesn't work out very well. Yeah.
And that's very vital because a lot of us guys, especially black men, we think that we just supposed to fight through everything in life. And it's like, nah, bro, some things is not your battle. Some
Mm-mm.
fights, some fights you're not meant to be on the front line for. You
Right.
know, a lot of shit you can just ignore. A lot of things aren't a battle. You
Mm-hmm.
make it. We make it a battle. We make a lot of things into issues that we could have got rid of a long time ago if we were just aware at the time, if we were just aware, and if we just truly value who we are. Because the more and more you value yourself, the less and less shit you take.
Yeah.
The less and less, bullshit people you choose to have around you. You really begin to put up those boundaries and let people know, like, this is what it is, and I'm unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
And this is where we got to get to as black men when it comes to our health in
Mhm.
particular. It has to be do or die.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I don't get out of this relationship, I can catch a heart attack.
Right.
If I
Mhm.
don't cut these fake friends off, I might catch cancer because these people has been cancerous in my life for the past 30 years. So definitely, and this is exactly why, you know, we need to show the younger men us working together,
Yeah. Mhm.
not just in the house, but outside of the house. And a lot of times we know that we come from a lot of family trauma.
Right.
So with us dealing with family trauma and then going outside and then seeing the neighbors argue, then seeing those neighbors argue, then seeing those people fight, it tells a black boy, like, this is what I'm gonna have to deal with when I get a girl. This is what I'm
Right.
gonna have to deal with when I get a wife. And we need to start showing something different. And I think the best way to present that is in a healthy way, as far as um a rites of passage, showing guys this is how you be healthy. You're not just healthy because what you eat. You're not just healthy because you exercise, but you're healthy because you exercise boundaries. You let
Mhm.
people know that you're not having this. You're not going to accept this. You cannot be around me. I will not let you around me. I will not have sex with you.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I'm listening.
Oh, I'm in total agreement. And I think, and I can just speak on it from more of a woman's perspective. It's okay, like, to say no, guys. Like, women, we need to hear that word sometimes, it is needed, because I'm telling you, a woman, especially if she is used to always getting a yes, especially from men, because she might look a certain kind of a way. um, you get spoiled. You really do. And women and children are very similar. And so we're really childlike in a lot of ways. And so, it's okay to say no sometimes. It might not even be anything wrong. Just be like, no. Because life happens, and there is going to be a point where life will say no. um my 20s were full of no's, and I had not experienced the abundance of no's until I hit my 20s. so it's okay, and you do have to have discipline, men. Women, we need to have it as well, because a lot of us will our vaginas will lead us into a lot of problems because we can't seem to say no to it, and the way that it is feeling and tingling because of somebody, looking and smelling a certain kind of way. And it's the same thing with men. You guys gotta know if a woman is really good for you or not. And it is easy to tell. I think maybe guys kind of look over those things. But the signs are usually always there. Women are not as good as hiding that kind of stuff as we think that we are. It's pretty easy to see. If you pay attention, it's easy to tell.
I'm getting ready to say, and I said this on a show, um, and I'm gonna be blunt. Men's dicks don't have ears. Our dicks don't have mouths. So pay attention to what? Pay attention to what sign? My dick ain't got eyeballs. So what do I see outside of those yams? What does he
Behave.
what does he see? I know what I see. I have 4 eyes. He has no eyes. And this is what I'll be trying to tell brothers. Which one are, if you're a leader, what's how are you a leader if your dick is leading you?
That is very true.
You're not a leader, your dick is leading you. You're not
Yep.
leading anything.
Yeah. And it can lead you into a lifetime of chaos.
Mm.
And it really can. And I hate seeing it. And I'm telling you, I'll go out in stores and things like that. I'm a very introverted person,
Mhm.
and I pay a lot of attention to human behavior and body languages. And I just see some of our men sometimes out, and I was sharing this with you, how I'll just look at them and I want to go up and hug them. And it's not a hug of anything sexual, any like attraction or anything like that. It's a human needing to be embraced by somebody that actually cares about them. And they could be with a whole woman, and I can read her energy, and I'm like, she really hates this dude. Like, the way that she is like speaking with him, their whole vibe, even walking down the aisle in a store, is just really dark. Um, And I do feel very bad for a lot of our brothers who have gone their whole lives and never have had an experience of somebody having a absolute and true love for them. Um, some people go through their whole life and they've never experienced it. And I don't think that's right. I do think that every living being, I don't care if it's an ant, a mosquito, um, a tree, or whatever it is, I believe that every living being deserves to be loved and deserves to have that reciprocated to them. I don't believe that everybody is entitled to having a relationship. Um, I don't think I think that's very bad. And my whole thing is like nobody has to deal with you. Nobody has to be in a relationship with you. You can at least act like, well, not even act because you don't want to act. You can at least be there. And if you don't really love that person and you don't really like them, just leave them alone. That's pretty much it.
Pretty much. I mean, but it's, you know, me and you both know that that's easier said than done. And
Yes. Mhm.
that goes into the whole trauma thing and
Mhm.
how a lot of us are, you know, we trauma bond
Yeah.
and we call it a relationship. You know?
Mhm.
And I see this a lot because what happens is because I'm fresh out of a relationship myself. And I noticed that what a lot of people do is they quick to find something or someone to block out those feelings and those thoughts of the last person. It's like you're
Mhm.
just a placeholder.
Mhm.
And I refuse to be that anymore.
Yeah.
I refuse to be a woman's placeholder. Like, because you're suffering from this guy, let me add this guy to the equation and then we could just move on. But what
Mhm.
was not, that chapter was not closed.
Yeah.
All you did was put a bookmark. You put a bookmark in that book, started a new book with me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And this, go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, I was saying, and that is very unfair. When people do that, and so my my guy and we've been together now. It's been 10 years, 10 plus ish years. And there was a point where he and I had therapy to dissolve our relationship. Um, it was kind of because I think I mentioned it to you as well. There is life and then there's a death in relationships. And just like in if you've lost somebody physically, they've transitioned on to another place. There's that process of mourning that takes place, and mourning can last years. Um, I lost my dog that I had at 15 in 2018. And I am still having those moments where I will sit and cry, thinking about him. And so mourning uh, in a relationship, the death of a relationship is actually needed. And you can't really get over. I know people do this a lot, and they try to get over somebody by getting under another person or getting on top of another person, and it doesn't quite work that way. It is something that does take time, and honestly, I don't think you can really put a number on how much time it may take. And there are steps to help you like kind of go through that grieving process of that, but it is important to recognize that it won't really if you broke up with somebody a month ago and you're trying to get in another relationship with somebody else, I don't think you really have done yourself a favor, because you haven't even given yourself enough time to really process through how you're feeling about that breakup with that person, especially if it was long term. Long term, you might need a year or two or three before you can really move on, and be able to give that person that would be new what they deserve, because they didn't ask, you know, to be the on the receiving end of all the trauma that you may have had from another relationship. They didn't have anything to do with that. And a lot of women mess up because we make other people pay for the mistakes that they themselves may have even caused, but the mistakes of a past relationship. And you gotta address that stuff before you can move on.
And just so the audience that's listening understands, while we're talking about this, health and relationships are hand in hand. Healthy people actually have a good relationship with themselves. That's why they're healthy. So understand, if you're listening right now, we're not don't we're not going off into the weeds. We're not going off into the gender war. No. We're staying here and we're talking about relationships and health, because they go hand in hand. Because usually, especially today in black relationships, let's just look at some statistics. The majority of black men today, they don't even have a set number, but we're dealing with mental health issues. I did a show where they said 80% of young black men from the ages of 8 to 18 is committing suicide. This is all due to the poor, or the lack thereof, of relationships that black men have in their life with people, with quality people. A lot of us don't, I just me meeting you is a pleasure, because I don't I don't know too many black women that's your age, that's of your educational background, that's in the environment that you're in, that's into what you're into. So, fellas, we this is the reason for traveling, to find people along the way that's on what you're on.
Mm.
See, we have to begin to show this. We have to begin to show this, because if we're promoting manhood, then we got to understand that boys are looking at us. We got to understand that other men who haven't had men in their life is looking at us. And one thing that we definitely have to show nowadays that is healthy is the relationship dynamic between black men and black women. We need to show our young boys that, yes, you're supposed to respect that black woman. Yes, there is sexy, beautiful black women out here that has the body of the stripper, but don't strip. That has
Or
the
has
body, right? Thank you, because that's what I was getting ready to say.
oh,
That doesn't have the moral compass of a stripper.
mm,
But there's positive, influential black women out here who are just waiting to assist us, brothers. But guess what we doing? Guess what we doing? We on nigga time. So guess what they on? Thought time. So if we stop paying, they stop selling. That's how that works.
yep.
We stop paying, they stop selling, because they'll be going outside and making no money. But if she
Mhm.
can walk to the corner store and come back in the house with $200, we have a problem, fellas. And this is a manhood issue. And it's because of the lack of relationships, or the lack of relationship that we choose to not have with ourselves. We're neglecting ourselves. This is why it's so easy for us to neglect anyone else. So
Mhm.
before we look to have relationships with other people, we got to understand that the relationship with oneself, the communication amongst men is vital and is paramount, especially to our women. Because growing up, my dad, when my dad had company come to the house, my mother already knew what it was. Speak to the people, ask if the men need anything. She's of assistance. But fellas, what do we have black women to do for us? Hmm? We still got them carrying drugs, carrying guns. So we can't be doing this and then turn around and throw it back in their face and say they want to be hood rats. When we gave them the guns, we gave them the drugs to get on a Greyhound, right? So, fellas, we have to begin to focus on our health and our relationship with each other, with our environment, and our women. Because at the
And
end, go ahead.
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, what you said on, what you spoke on with having the relationship with yourself, that is really where all of it begins. And fellas, I know this might sound strange to do, but if you're at home, take a moment and just completely strip yourself of the electronics. If disrobe yourself, maybe wrap yourself in a towel. And there's a practice that I do like to do, and have some of my other students do this. And you are literally going to lie on the floor, and you can set a timer. And you can begin at 15 minutes and then increase it in every 15 minutes and work your way up to an hour where you're just lying there on the floor. You place one hand over your heart, you place the other right on top of your belly button, and you really focus on the air that's coming in. Don't worry about doing a pranayama meditation or anything like that. You're literally just going to allow your natural breath to enter and exit. And after you do that, you more than not, you're probably going to feel a huge weight like out of your body. You can physically feel it. And turn off all the TVs, just have complete silence. And try that type of a practice, try it for a week and see how you end up feeling. And then you can start to add in things like a meditation or something if you want to. But those are really simple, and very needed self-care activities that you can do that don't require you to go around anybody. You can do it in the privacy of your own home. And it's really a tuning in process that happens to where eventually you'll be doing that, but you won't notice that you're doing it. And you'll be doing it in an external, out in the world. And those are things that are really good when you're trying to learn how to tune in with yourself, because the healing starts within your mind, it starts within your spirit. And you have to attend to those things, and also consuming the right things. If you're eating a lot of death, then you're going to have a lot of death residing inside of you. And that's not specifically physically, but well, it is physical, but it protrudes out into the spirit as well. So I know, our people love, we love uh, meats and things, but just try to not consume as much of it if you can. And try to replace those things with fruits and a lot of water. vegetables, your legumes, which will support your protein, your nuts and things like that. Even as a wilderness instructor, I also teach a lot of primitive skills, and foraging is one of them. I know we're coming into fall here, so you
Mhm.
can go out and you can find pecans and all kinds of stuff. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, not to get off on that, but it is very important that you guys fuel yourselves with the right foods, because food is medicine. And a lot of our healing, as for me anyway, comes out of my kitchen. I always try to prepare things as much as I can at home, because I know exactly what's going in it. And so I think that's what I was trying to say. I think I got
well,
off on a lot of different things there.
I'm glad you I'm glad you said that, because what you just basically let me know is I need to be more like a bear and less like a tiger or something. I need to be more like a bear. Eat more, eat more fish. Don't eat a little more healthier basically. Don't.
Yeah, so we have, and I can send you the link for this, but for some of the students that come in that are having like dietary issues, I have them go ahead and do the dosha quiz. So we have different doshas in the body. You have your kapha, your pitta, your vata. Um, and I can send it to you and you can share it with your viewers so that they can go and do it. But it's essentially a quiz that will tell you your dosha. And these are things that change throughout the year, the seasons. And it'll go over things like, are you a thin person? Are you cold? Are your lips often pale or flaky? And those are things that go right into your digestive system and things that you should be eating to help mend those things. Like I spoke about before, the agni, that digestive fire, are all things that go into our emotions and our parasympathetic nervous system. And so, by eating the right things and eating them in abundance, you literally can correct anything with your health, but not only the health part, but within your mind as well. So, yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And this is a lifestyle change. Well, let me say that again. But understand that, fellas, we need a lifestyle change. And this lifestyle change will is going to basically reflect, you know, where you're going, where you're at, and understand that that's what manhood is. Manhood is something that you grow into. Manhood is not something that happens at a certain age. Manhood is not something that happens when you make a certain amount of money, um, when you kill a certain amount of people, when you're stronger than a certain amount of people. All of that foolishness. No, manhood is something that you develop into, and it is something that really should be healthy and progressive. It should be something that's something for the future. And this is the reason for this podcast. It is to let brothers know, man, that we need to get back to the root of things. Because if you forget where you came from, you don't have no direction. So I definitely appreciate you, Miss Raven. I'm not gonna hold no more much of your time.
No, no problem. I'm so happy that you had me here, and I would love to come back. We can even get into eventually we can go into the tantric side of yoga.
Oh yeah.
Um,
No, we not gonna do it. We're not gonna do that because there's a lot of guys. You're talking to a guy that it's gonna be a little issues. So we'll work that out. Okay, Raven. We'll
yeah,
work
yeah. I mean, anything that
we'll
is
work
dealing
that
with,
out.
yeah.
We'll work that out. We'll work that out. But we're definitely gonna bring you back because we definitely need that information. We
Okay.
we we need that information as men, health for our health.
Yeah.
Because even though the whole tantric thing is sexual, is still based in health.
Right. And it's actually the roots of tantra are not even really associated with sexuality.
Right.
It's really based into more of a kundalini type of thing. And we can get into all of that, but that is also extremely important to men.
Mhm.
Um, there's a a practice. I know some guys might not want to ever do this,
Mhm.
but it is basically for women. It's what we would consider in today's term yoni sunning. And so you're essentially opening your reproductive genitalia to the sun, because our sun is the ha to the tha. So there's hatha yoga that's there. But ha, ha represents sun, and the tha represents the moon. And those are energies that we all need. Men have a lot of men have the masculine energy of the sun, but you also have some moon in you, which is why it's important for you guys to keep your beards, because this part of the face is what is connecting you to that moon, that feminine energy that's there, that's present on our earth. So when it comes to sun or yoni sunning, men can also do it as well. And it's actually shining light on that really dark area within our hips, for women, but also for men. We hold a lot of emotion in our hips as women, but shining a light on that and getting that energies from our beautiful sun, um, is really beneficial to not only our spirit, but it's actually very healthy for our vagina, bacterial and all that kind of stuff. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, on that,
Wow.
I think.
Yeah, that's I would I would have to look into that a little more because that would I would feel kind of weird.
Yeah, it's definitely something you wanna do if you are able to be kind of isolated in a sunny area,
Right.
and are able to devote at least an hour to doing it. I've led practices where I've tried to do that for about 3 hours.
Mm,
Afterwards, I felt very recharged, and again, this is a woman here, so it's gonna be a little bit different
right.
for men that do it,
Mhm.
but, for me personally, I always feel recharged. I usually sleep extremely well that night. Um, and moodiness usually goes away if I have menstrual issues, or cramping for women. It
Mhm.
usually subsides. So those are all. There's a lot of healing that's here, present around us. We just gotta find it.
So, fellas, what she's basically saying is, listen, if you are having ED issues, all you got to do is go to the sun and you will turn into the god Pan. You be walking around here like Pan. But um um but great conversation. It's great to have you as always. Definitely got to bring you back. We definitely could get into the whole sexual healing side of things. Um, I'm into that. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm just foul at times. But I appreciate you so much, Raven. Um, Definitely everyone, please get down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about today's show. Don't forget, follow us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Music, Amazon Music. You can find Foundational Manhood Podcast. I appreciate you once again, Miss Raven. We definitely gonna bring you back. Much love to you. DS1 Ross, shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan. FMP Foundational Manhood Podcast, episode 16. And we are out of here. Peace.